Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this webinar on how to attract smart and agile SMEs, public buyers, and innovative companies share their views. We have, again, very high number of people registered, so thanks again for coming so numerous. We count having more than 330 participants from all over Europe, representing buyers and suppliers. And what is interesting is that we have many more startups and agile companies than we usually do in our webinars. I hope that you stay safe in the current conditions, and we hope that due to the vaccination campaign, which is ongoing in Europe, we will all soon be able to return back to a normal life. Before we start, I would like to thank a number of bodies which have been helping us in the preparation of the organization of this webinar. Liberté Living Lab from France, the Ministry of Agriculture of the Czech Republic, Enterprise Ireland, Europe Enterprise Network, and the Ministry of Innovation of Flanders in Belgium. And also Agile, the Italian Agency for Digitization. Let's now move to the housekeeping rules. The session is available only via web streaming. You have received the web link in order to address to this session, to access this session. To submit questions or comment, please use Slido, the application. You should have received also the instruction to use this app. When asking a question, please indicate to whom the question is addressed. We will be ensured that this is the right speaker who gets it. We will, of course, read the questions and invite the corresponding speaker to answer to it. Time flies fast, so we will be very rigorous in terms of time management, and questions that will remain unanswered will be collected and answered afterwards via our LinkedIn group, Agents of Innovation Procurement. Let me just very quickly introduce today's speakers. We have an agenda which counts 3 different parts. The first part is the European Commission session, and we have 2 very distinguished speakers, Katharina Napten-Birlisch, Acting Head of Unit of Public Procurement Strategy from the European Commission, DG GROW, which stands for Internal Market, Industry, Entrepreneurship, and SMEs, and Raluca Iparte. While Katharina will give a welcome address, an opening address, Raluca will cover the SMEs angle, and I will cover the innovation procurement angle. Then we have 2 further sessions, very interesting, and we really enter into the core of the presentations and of the debate. The session will be moderated by Maria Gavin from Ireland, from Enterprise Ireland, and we have 2 different sessions, the public buyers sessions. Public buyers are very interesting cases and come from very different administrations. We have to start with Nicola Graham from Dublin City Council, Christoph Weiss from the Ministry of Economy and Innovation in Belgium, and Martin Bunchak, which comes from the Technological Agency of the Czech Republic, where he is the director. For the innovative company sessions, we have been really looking for very interesting cases. We have Corneliu Malciu, which is co-founder of Argan, a French startup, and Carlos Chiate, which is the founder and chairman of Tech for Care from Italy. Before we start, and usually to also warm up with the Slido, we will have a very short poll. This also will allow you to practice with it. Here you will find the way to connect to Slido, and now we will see appearing on the screen the question which is raised in the poll. Why did you register to today's webinar? Because I have a procurement project and I want to attract innovative companies, because I'm an innovative company and I want to better understand public procurement. I'm just curious. We will wait for about 30 seconds to let participants to answer. Normally, we take around half a minute to get to 20 questions. Let's see if we are on the same pace today. We got so far only 12 replies. It's pretty balanced, the replies. But indeed, since the highest number of people registered for today's seminar are buyers, there is a slight majority on people which have a procurement project and want to attract innovative companies. The innovative companies so far are at 12%. Let's see when we get to 20 replies, otherwise we will move on quickly. I think we are there. We can move on with the poll. Thanks for those which have been taking part. So curiosity is the main reason for register to today's webinar. But of course, many buyers want to attract innovative and SMEs, and this was the second histogram that we saw. So after the poll, I welcome and invite Katarina Napton-Wirlich for the welcome and opening words. Katarina, the floor is yours.
Indeed, I'm very honored to be able to welcome you to this webinar, which really comes at the right time. Because, well, without innovation, we'll never manage our recovery. Without innovation, we will not manage the climate transition. Without innovation and the role of public buyers in it, our children and grandchildren will inherit a world that might not be livable anymore. So I'm very grateful for your interest. I'm very grateful for the distinguished speakers who are going to share their experiences as public procurers and as agile SMEs who want to actually help us as public authorities make the most out of their innovative power. Indeed, the new US president, with big change from the previous one, has actually placed a significant role on public procurement in stimulating innovation and on SMEs and on actually fighting climate change. Not surprisingly, he's quite in line with Bill Gates, who in his new book says governments can play a huge role by adopting zero carbon policies and by shaping the way markets attract money for these projects. Indeed, and that's what we are at. We as public buyers, we as policymakers have to help shape the market for innovative products so that we all will be capable of managing the climate transition. And if you have been with public procurement for a while, you will know that that's a major shift of focus. Still, asking many public buyers what they actually do want to achieve with procurement, they unfortunately still overwhelmingly answer compliance. But this is not what it's all about. Yes, it's important to be compliant. It's important to be transparent. It's important to assure equal treatment for everybody who wants to participate. But this is not the aim. The aim is really to buy good quality, to buy what we need. And this, with compliance alone, we want to achieve it. We need the shift in importance from just the lowest price and filling out forms and ticking boxes to really knowing our markets as public buyers, to defining our aims in a way that innovative companies can participate and are not bogged down by old regulation, old forms, old descriptions that actually do not allow them to pitch their innovative products to the public markets. So there are many angles and avenues to work to support innovative companies, especially also innovative SMEs, helping them grow and helping them make the most of all this public money in recovery and generally that's out there to get. So the objective of today's webinar is to learn how public buyers can attract innovative SMEs, and for innovative SMEs to get a slightly better view of that bizarre system of public procurement. We hope we can inspire you, and I'll hand over to Ivo and Raluca for their keynote speech. Thank you very much, all of you, for being there.
Thanks, Katarina. I pass the floor to Raluca for her speech.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for participating today. Thank you to Ivo and to Samira for organizing the event and inviting me to speak. Once, and also it's great to see there is so much interest in this topic and how to help SMEs participate more in public procurement and how to attract them. And it's also nice to see in the speakers, and I know also from the audience, people with whom we've been in contact over the years in this Ppi. So just to check, you see my PowerPoint?
Yes, yes.
I hope so. Oh, okay. I'll try to be brief and not stop too much onto the, let's say, things that are in a way common sense. And I will hope not to bore you with these elements, but I think it's important to put this topic in the perspective of the policy framework and the legal framework that we have. And of course, it is very important to attract SMEs to public procurement because it's a win-win process. Win for the public buyers because they can have more competition, better goods and services, more choice in the end, better value for money. And also it's a win for SMEs because they can have more clients and also build reputation. And when you consider the sheer size of public procurement, that really becomes important. So you probably are familiar that we're saying that within the public procurement, it's around 14% of the GDP. But if we also add what is there, the market opportunities when outside the EU, this is really incredible. And we'll see later why I'm also referring to the public procurement outside the EU. And of course, the SMEs have more challenges than the large companies, and this is seen in many instances, many reports and studies that we've carried out in the discussion with the SMEs. What we are doing in order to help the SMEs, I think the framework has three main elements. One, very important, and actually that's the basis, is the legislation, and we have the 2014 directives which have brought significant it's introduced provisions to help SMEs participate in public procurement. We are also looking into policy development and monitoring tools, and actually also projects. What I would like to stress under this element is that the European Union has to support SMEs by respecting the non-discrimination principle. And this is quite important also when you compare with other parties, other countries outside the EU. We have to put in place these elements, keeping non-discrimination principle in mind. I will just briefly mention what are the probably this is not an exhaustive list, that element in the public procurement directive that were taken in the member states legislation, and that help SMEs participate more. Let's say the flagships of this are the division of contract into lots, and we also have proved that this is really working in practice. The turnover cap that has to be respected, so that it doesn't become, the turnover required in the selection criteria does not become a barrier for SMEs to participate. Here we have the turnover, because that is easy to put, let's say, in terms of figures, but all the selection criteria have to be proportional to what is bought in order to allow as many bidders to participate. The reduction of the administrative burden. So if you don't know, I mean, in order to participate in public procurement, there are a series of criteria that you have to fulfill: initially exclusive and selection criteria. And there are lots of, I mean, there are certificates that, and documents that are required for that. With the new directives, only the winner has to provide this document at the end. So that is to allow the SMEs to participate easier. And here, the European Single Procurement document can help a lot. Also, e-procurement, the use of e-certis, which is, you can say it's a catalog of the proofs that the member states supply for the different criteria that I've mentioned. The use of quality criteria, so not only lowest price, green social innovation procurement, direct payments to subcontractor variants and so on. So the new legal framework has indeed significantly changed, in our view, the situation and the framework for the participation of SMEs. And this is just to show that there are some positive trends that have been identified when we look at the participation of SMEs in above threshold procurement, both in terms of number of contracts and the value. Of course, even when we look at the estimated direct and indirect participation, so subcontractors and others, so not only SMEs by themselves, we are still lower than the contribution that the SMEs have in value added in the economy. So there is still room to go. So in terms of policies, I mentioned the legal framework. Now, because that's the stepping stone, but this is not enough, we are trying to bring the importance of SMEs participation in the forefront with different policy documents. And here there are only a few of them, starting from the 2008 Small Business Act for Europe to the 2020 SME Strategy for Sustainable and Digital Europe. All these elements have put the SMEs at the core of the policy making, and also is requested to do the same for the public procurement area. Now, other actions or actually projects that we are doing. So I've mentioned in the beginning, I mean, obviously the directives have a strong focus on the internal market, and a lot of our activities are concentrating on the internal market. But just for you to know that we are also working extensively on supporting SMEs for the participation in procurement outside, and actually making sure that there is a level playing field in that area. So we are negotiating public procurement chapters in the FTAs now. I think virtually every new FTA basically has a public procurement chapter where we are trying to fight to make sure that those parties do not have or maintain discriminatory measures against our SMEs in public procurement. We are working with international organizations, but also maybe the most important is the work we do in the work program in the government procurement, the work program on SMEs, where we try to align with the parties of the Chiate on policy measures that can be used and that are not discriminatory. At the EU level, in terms of projects, we have, recent elements. One project that I will describe a bit more in detail. It's on the SME needs in public procurement, its analysis, and some communication elements, the increasing SMEs participation in procurement inside and outside the EU, and other elements that, Ivo will mention the procurement and innovation, but just to mention that there is more work in Directorate G, in DG Grow and public procurement that, although maybe not targeting directly SMEs, do benefit them. So like professionalization of public buyers, it's one of them. It's very important to mention that all these elements do not work without the cooperation with, singling out here Enterprise Europe Network because it's quite a big player under stakeholders. And of course, this is complemented by member state action. And actually, this is extremely important because we can go only up to a limit at the EU level, and member states, they do have in place quite a few actions to support this needs further. I hope I'm still good on time. I'll just make I'll go very quickly through two projects that are on the radar. One is the supporting SMEs participation in public procurement outside the EU, mainly. It was a COSME call that was launched last year, and we have selected the winners, and we hope that the project will start to be implemented in the coming months. The idea with this one was to increase SMEs participation in public procurement outside the EU, and using the many opportunities that we negotiate in public procurement. The first one in doing that, actually, those SMEs should also be prepared to participate in procurement inside the EU. Also to build the capacities of intermediary organizations to help SMEs in this respect and to contribute to the recovery from the current crisis and build their resilience. So 5 projects, might go to 6 to be seen. Many sectors covered, from railway technologies to green and circular economy, lighting industries, very specific. More than 10 member states and COSME participating countries. And the targeted countries of those projects cover US, Canada, Norway, Switzerland, but also Moldova and Ukraine, next to close to the EU borders and Serbia. So we hope that this project, as I mentioned, to start in the coming months. The other element that I wanted to mention very quickly is that we have had a project that is near finalization, so we hope to publish it soon. We wanted to see more in detail on the needs of SMEs, but also to identify messages and nice stories about public procurement, because public procurement is not easy, but a lot of SMEs are deterring from participating by perception. So sometimes there is also a lack of knowledge about public procurement. So we wanted to see what can be done further and how we can communicate better in order to attract more SMEs. I mean, this is a bit the structure of the project. So there was a quiz, there was this guy's training, there were a collection of stories, and I'm actually happy to see that one of the companies figuring in the stories is actually represented today, Tech for Care. So the world is small. So I mean, just few elements. I will not necessarily go through all of them, but indeed there is still an issue with knowledge about TED, about how to find public procurement, about the perception and how complicated its public procurement is seen, and also when you look at the age of the companies and looking at the startups and the young companies that have applied in the project, we see that the lowest participation rate in the past is in this group, that they have the lowest knowledge of public procurement elements and principles, and also of the TED. And also they have the highest need to support participate in public procurement. So for those that might not know about TED, so TED is Standards Electronic Daily. This is the platform where you find all the procurement contract notices, and that's really then who won of the public procurement above threshold in the European Union. So that's the first place to start to know what is now going on in public procurement. And I mean, not surprisingly, in terms of what needs to be done, we need to concentrate on more digital tools and communication. We need to look into the guidance and support the SMEs and public procurement. We have to be a bit more strict on the implementation of the public procurement provisions, so that we don't go overboard with the requirements, and using as much as possible simplifying and standardizing the templates, for example, of the different procurement documents, so that it's easier for SMEs to go into that. I will stop here. Thank you very much for your attention, and looking forward to the discussion. Thank you.
Thanks, Raluca. Thanks so much for this very clear and interesting presentation. I will quickly cover the part on innovation procurement. First, by explaining what is innovation procurement, what is our approach. Innovation procurement, of course, refers to any procurement. It does one of the both of the following aspects: buying the process of innovation, research and development service with partial outcomes, and buying the outcomes of innovation. Innovative solutions may be new or highly improved product or services, but also new way of working and organizing, to put it into different terms. Let's go to the next one, please. Why innovation procurement? Well, you see here the main objectives of innovation procurement is very much linked to the green and digital transition and the resilience of the EU, has been said by Katarina and Raluca in their speeches. Of course, it's very much linked also to the modernization of public administration, to helping startups and SMEs, in the sense that very often innovation procurement represents the first customer. And of course, it's about moving markets towards innovation. Next slides, please. We do a number of activities. We fund projects, as you see at the bottom of our slides, PPI calls. We work about connecting public buyers and using the market there to, let's say, steer the market towards the development of new and innovative products. This is the case of the big buyers for climate and environment. And also we work in terms of dissemination of know-how. Maybe some of you have been following our cycle of webinars on the innovation partnership. And in the second quarter of this year, we plan to publish the new guidance on innovation procurement with many new examples, and also with the tools to carry out market consultations. Next slide, please. What's next? Well, of course, as I was saying, we plan to publish the guidance on innovation procurement. We hope we will be able to publish in the course of this year the call, a new PPI call. This depends from the adoption of the relevant work program. We also plan to organize a number of webinars and interviews which are related to the topics covered in the guidance. Could be, for example, organization of preliminary market consultation, sourcing, or IPR. And within this context, also having inspiring talks relating to the topic of innovation procurement. Next one, please. So to keep in touch, you will find our LinkedIn group, our functional mailbox, and our website, where we publish all the relevant information. And then finally, I would like just to very quickly indicate that also a number of other DGs have provided us information on their forthcoming activities in the field of innovation procurement. This includes DG Home, the EIC, and DG Connect. The EIC, for example, will includes in their work program specific activities relating to the innovation procurement. All this material will be made available in the slides, which will be sent to you. I think this slide maybe is the most clear of all of them, where it indicates future activities in a number of fields, like research infrastructure, health, civil security for society, digital, industry and space, and also the activities, as I've mentioned before, of the European Innovation Council. So thanks a lot. With this, I've finished. And we will, before passing the floor to Maria Gavin for the public buyer session, just one small point regarding a technical issue. We realized that there has been a difficulty regarding the showing the broadcast of the slides. I would like to clarify that the slides will be made available to all participants, as well as the recording of today's webinar will be also published on our website. We really apologize for this inconvenience. And by this, I pass the floor to Maria Gavin, who will take over moderating the public buyer session and the following one on innovative players. Maria, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Ivo. Good morning, everybody, and a very warm welcome to this part of the agenda. Delighted to see such a strong attendance from across almost every member state. My name is Maria Gavin, and my current role is Ireland Coordinator for Enterprise Europe Network. I'm based in Dublin in my host organisation, Enterprise Ireland, which is probably familiar to many across the Union. The EEN is a European Commission initiative assisting businesses to innovate and grow on an international scale. It is the world's largest support network for globally ambitious SMEs, with 3,000 representatives in 600 member organisations across 60 countries, all renowned for their expertise, and it offers advisory services and innovation support. So please contact your local EEN office to find out more. In context, my own procurement credentials are intertwined with the delivery of Ireland's first innovative procurement programme called SBIR Ireland. That's Small Business Innovation Research. Some of you may notice or recognise the name. We took our lead from the highly successful and very long-running US programme of the same name. A pilot was launched in 2014 and has led to date to up to nearly 30 challenges, all cross-sectoral, ranging from flood prevention to decreasing rail, bridge, truck strikes and everything in between. So quite a varied selection of challenges. Through the next two sections of our agenda covering public buyers and innovative Agile SMEs, as in the title of today's event, we want to explain or explore how to reach innovative companies and create relations of solid trust, and also how to take advantage of business opportunities in the public sector. So both lots of our speakers will share their experiences, offering deep insights to successful collaboration. As we have a very tight schedule today, we'll move swiftly along and we'll commence with the public bias section and our first speaker, Nicola Graham, who is the Smart City Operations Manager for Dublin City Council, the largest council in Ireland. I've had the joy of working with Nicola, a real pleasure, as Dublin City Council were one of the first advocates of innovative procurement within Ireland, embracing the chance to collaborate with technology forward-thinking SMEs. Nicola has 15 years plus experience in the public sector, and she has been with Dublin City Council at the beginning of their Smart City journey, which has been very, very interesting and exciting. She has secured and managed the rollout of pre-commercial funding under SBIR, as mentioned earlier, previously, partnering with Enterprise Ireland, as well as collaboration with MasterCard through the City Possible Public-Private Partnership Programme. And Nicola, the floor is yours. Thank you so much.
Thanks very much, Maria. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for the opportunity to be here today. Can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, great. As Maria said, with over 30 challenges under SBIR, Smart Dublin has been involved in 11 of those challenges. And we've been privileged to be able to try out the pre-commercial procurement process. So first of all, I'll just tell you a bit about Smart Dublin. Okay, so in Ireland, we have 31 local authorities with elected members of councils. Unlike across the rest of Europe, the Lord Mayor of Dublin is not directly elected and has a ceremonial function. Our day-to-day operations are managed by our CEO. We don't have a remit over health, education or taxation, which also makes us slightly different from the way other European cities work. What is Smart Dublin? Smart Dublin is an initiative of the 4 Dublin local authorities. So within Dublin, there's 4 municipalities. Dublin City Council is the largest municipality. But the idea of Smart Dublin was to bring the 4 Dublin councils together to collaborate, to engage with technology providers, researchers, SMEs and citizens to find innovative challenges and innovative solutions. Because although we are quite different in our landscapes, we have the exact same challenges. And the idea was to improve services and make Dublin a better place to live, to be, to visit and to do business. Our programme covers 6 main themes: smart economy, smart mobility, smart environment, smart people, smart living and smart government. Again, the aims are to provide better services, promote innovative solutions, increase collaboration and engagement, and now probably more than ever to improve economic activity. So Smart Dublin uses a collaboration model. And here's an example. We've worked with researchers, higher education institutions, state agencies, and large tech companies, but also smaller tech companies. We use a challenge-based approach, which means we sat down with both our senior management teams and our operational staff to try and identify what the key challenges were in the local authorities before we went out to find solutions. We see Dublin as big enough yet small enough to be the ideal location to pilot new city services and solutions. And for the potential to measure the impact and scalability of those solutions. And how we've managed to do that is through our Smart Districts programme. Smart Docklands was our flagship project. The city has a test bed and it focuses on telecoms and IoT. Then next came Smart Sandyford, which is a business district and it's focusing on mobility research. Smart DCU, which is a university campus. It's a campus test bed focusing on mobility, 3D and digital twins. We have Smart Balbriggan, a regional town, which is very focused on the community and public realm strategy and trying to improve services and access to facilities for the community in that area. And launching this week is our Smart D8 district, which is our health and wellbeing district. We find that these test beds provide companies and SMEs with different landscapes where they can trial and test their solutions in a real world environment and measure the impact and scalability of their potential solutions. So I'll just show you a quick video about some of the things that Smart Dublin do. Please let me know if you can't see it. This did work earlier, I promise.
don't think it's loading, Nicola.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think, yeah. Okay, well, I'll move on from that. We'll see if we
Thank
can
you.
get it to work by the end. Oh. Actually, there we go. We'll try it once more and then that's it. Okay. Just bear with me 1 second. What I'll do is I'll let the video play and we'll provide you with the link so you can watch the video later for anybody that can't hear the sound.
That's great, Nicola. Yes, if that would be a good approach.
Eventually, I think that we can, Maria, sorry to break in, we could broadcast ourselves from here, the video, and apparently it works. There should be no problem in this respect. So I'm very sorry for all participants for these all small technical problems.
So smart city, I mean, it's quite a nebulous concept, but for many, it's about delivering better cities, better outcomes for citizens, more efficient services. So one of the big mega trends is the whole rise of urbanization globally. So over half the world's population now lives in cities, and this is going to increase significantly over the coming decades. So from the smart city perspective is how do we apply new technologies to address some of the big challenges that we face as a result of urbanization. So how we use energy, how we address climate change, how we manage the effects of extreme weather events. And so there's lots of issues that cities face that technology can help solve some of those big challenges.
So a couple of years ago we decided to create a smart city testbed to be able to take a more agile approach to smart cities. We wanted somewhere where we could trial and test new technology before we rolled it out to the rest of the city. So we chose 2 square kilometres in the centre of the city It's home to some massive tech companies. Google, just behind me here, employ 8,000 people. We have Facebook, employ 4,000 people.
We work with companies like Google, IBM, Intel, SoftBank, MasterCard, Vodafone. The list is quite significant. So Smart Dublin is a collaboration across the 4 Dublin local authorities to really take the opportunity of smart cities by building out a collaboration model in a way that delivers great outcomes for citizens.
We've taken a unique approach to smart city development here in the Docklands. We have a triple helix model that we have the city, academia and research working together, and in that we've taken a citizen-centric approach to identifying challenges that citizens actually face in Dublin.
As Jane Jacobs famously said, cities only work when they're designed for people and by people and with their inclusion. So we engage communities in a number of different ways, from challenge-based workshops that we run with different groups of local residents in the area, to online surveys and face-to-face kind of large-scale events that we would also run.
We've run a number of workshops to date and identified over 500 challenges, and we can see clear themes emerging from that. Some of the challenges that have emerged have been challenges around waste management. So we've deployed over 100 smart bins in the Docklands that are solar panel, and they compress the rubbish. So they let the waste management team in Dublin City Council know when the bin is full. So instead of having to go around every bin every day, they can just go to the bins that are full, reducing the number of waste management or collection trucks that are on the road.
We hear a lot about Internet of Things, but really what Internet of Things is about connecting people, it's connecting infrastructure, buildings, vehicles and cyclists even, and it's about generating new data that allows us to make better decisions on our city.
Cycling safety is a concern in cities, so a couple of years ago we partnered with a company called C-Sense who've created a smart bike light. The smart bike light can connect to your phone. Using machine learning and AI, we can determine road surface quality, and we can also determine near misses and dangerous areas for cyclists in the city. So we've deployed 500 of these lights in Dublin. It also determines where people are cycling, so we can start to build a map and heat maps of where people are cycling. We can start to see pain points for cycling safety in the city, and also where there's very bad road surface quality, so that can be fed back to city planners and they can start to improve cycling conditions in the city.
So what we're looking at is real-time, connected, data-driven cities.
For the first time, cities are playing a role in the deployment of network-based technology. So we need to use things like traffic lights and street lights and bus shelters and bins to deploy these technology.
I think technologies like 5G are going to enhance our ability to collect more information in real time and again just increase that collaboration capacity that the city will have.
So we're deploying this in the Docklands. It's a first of its kind urban 5G deployment, and working with some of our partners here to deploy small cells outdoors and indoors. The technology that we're trialling and testing here, I'm working with a company called Dense Air. They have now bought the spectrum in other countries such as Australia, New Zealand, Belgium and Portugal. So the technology that we are trialling and testing in Dublin will be deployed across the world in those cities.
As we grow the smart city concept globally, we need to be very careful that we protect the rights of citizens in terms of the data that we collect, the data that we use.
And so there's a big responsibility on the city to look at aspects of data literacy, data privacy and inclusion, and make sure that the platforms that we're using are both safe and that they are inclusive, and make sure that all of the citizens of the city are represented.
In Dublin we take this very seriously. We've recently established I suppose a digital right and ethics working group.
Through this collaboration with Maynooth University, and they're helping us within the context of this data ethics programme to look at both the philosophical issues around how data is generated and how we should share it and use it, but also the compliance and regulation issues.
Because it's easy to apply technology, but we need to apply technology thoughtfully. The key is that the smart city is happening now. It's not a concept anymore. I mean, cities are about attracting talent, about enabling talent and about driving innovation. And smart city is absolutely at the heart of that. And Dublin is really, playing a leading role globally in this space.
Thanks very much. Okay, I will go back to sharing my slides then. Okay, so something that I suppose we're all familiar with, as my colleagues mentioned, there are a number of challenges and a number of different types of solutions. But how do local authorities and municipalities buy those solutions? We need to use procurement. And we all have our horror stories about public procurement that we can share. But I suppose what we have been trying to do is compare traditional procurement and new innovative types of procurement. Our traditional procurement is quite prescriptive and can be often restrictive. With new innovative ways to procure solutions, it allows for flexibility. It allows us to understand what works, what doesn't work, and allows us to test and evaluate, and allows us ultimately to reduce risks. As Maria said, Smart Dublin has been involved in over 11 challenges with 42 innovation contracts awarded. And we've looked at challenges in smart mobility, smart environment, smart people, smart living. We've looked at cycling. As you can see from the video, C-Sense is one of the first challenge. The smart mobility and smart cycling is one of the first challenges that Dublin City Council participated in, and C-Sense was one of our most successful companies, as you can see from the video. Sorry. So what is small business innovation research? It's a PCP, which is pre-commercial procurement process. It allows you to, I'm sorry, I don't, just bear with me 1 second. My mouse has taken a life of its own. Small business innovation research process. So it's a pre-commercial procurement process. It allows you to identify the problem, then put out an open call to the industry. During that, we provided briefing sessions for companies who were interested in participating. It gave companies a chance to find out more about the challenge, to ask more questions before they actually had to submit an application. Once the applications were in, they were assessed by an evaluation panel. Phase 1 typically lasted 3 to 5 months, but in some cases it did extend a bit longer, and we were quite flexible about that. Phase 1 is to determine that type of feasibility, to work with a champion within the organisation, to build a better solution. At the end of Phase 1, there was an evaluation process done, and Phase 2 then allowed the remaining companies who had successfully come through the assessment to continue to work on their solutions for further 8 to 12 months, with additional financial support. They also got to continue to work with the champions within the city to develop better solutions. So I've taken 3 of the challenges and decided to talk about some of the different types of outcomes. With pre-commercial procurement, the one challenge we did find was trying to procure the solution at the end. However, we did find that it was a very successful way to help SMEs to expand their business. A lot of the time they were able to co-design the solution in Ireland, but then it went on to sell in other cities across Europe. With our Smart Cycling Challenge, C-Sense went on to win additional EU funding to expand their initial solution, and they've provided that in other cities like Eindhoven, and we're part of the EU Synchronicity project. With the Gully Monitoring Project, we extended the testing period to validate the results. The companies continued to work with the city to co-design and develop the solution and tweak it. We're hopeful that in the coming months, we'll put out a traditional tender process to purchase the solution. But we're better informed now as a City Council as to what those requirements are. With the illegal dumping challenge, what we found was that there is no technology solution that can help solve illegal dumping. What it made us more aware of was our need to utilise and standardise data sets to be able to collect more information to be able to tackle illegal dumping. And then since then, we've launched a life ring challenge. So in Dublin, 600 ring buoys are lost each year, which costs about €40 to replace. And it costs Dublin City Council in excess of €20,000 a year. A lot of the time they end up in hotel rooms or in the Liffey. And we were looking at a way to try and address this challenge. So, as I said, we found that with pre-commercial procurement, we had a slightly more challenging journey on trying to procure the solution at the end. So we looked at other innovative procurement processes and came up with the Public Procurement of Innovative Solutions, or PPI process. So what is the PPI process? PPI allows you to purchase early stage products that are not commercially available, but they're a little further along than research and development. What you can do is you can combine a PCP process with a PPI process. And not only can you explore the research and development, but you can then also use the two-phase process to purchase the solution at the end. How we've structured ours PPI process, it's a two-phase multi-supplier framework with businesses applying for the challenge in phase one. Phase one includes deployment and testing, and then in phase two, after end of phase one evaluation, those solutions and companies will be on the framework, and through a mini competition process, 23 different local authorities all over Ireland will be able to draw down on that framework. We started, I suppose, the challenge off by issuing a PIN notice, a prior information notice, to gather more information on what the solution was. This really helped to inform writing the challenge brief, and I would strongly recommend that for anybody going to do any type of innovative procurement, any type of procurement, because PIN notices really help you to get a sense of what's available on the market. We had 20 companies that applied, and we have 4 pilots underway in Dublin at the moment. And the ultimate prize is a contract for national rollout to 23 local authorities that will be able to use this framework. So while traditional procurement can be narrow in its specification, it can limit the engagement from the market. It has a lack of flexibility and can often have a higher risk of failure at scale. It has its place. We're not saying don't use traditional procurement methods. From my experience, different types of challenges require different types of procurement. So I think the most important thing is to explore the different types of procurement so that you can choose which one is best for you. Innovative procurement allows a broad scope, which encourages innovation. It results in increased expressions of interest. It allows you to see what's available on the market. You can understand what works and what doesn't work through the trial and testing process. You can accelerate the latest thinking, and it allows you to test, evaluate, reduce risk, but it also allows you to build on those tests to measure impact and scalability. So some of my main tips, I suppose, for buyers would be to choose the right process. What is the end goal? Look at the different types of procurement. When using central purchasing systems, appeal to wider audiences. A lot of the time we can be quite narrow in the number of areas that we pick when using a central purchasing platform. The wider the audience, the wider the possibility of successful innovative solutions. Use research, use I suppose the core category that the solution is involved in. But the more categories you can add to that process, the wider audience you'll appeal to. And I suppose finally, COVID-19 has shown that local governments can be innovative. A lot of the time we're criticised for not being innovative, but I think we've really shown, and COVID-19 has accelerated the need and the desire for more smarter solutions. We need to keep the momentum going and we need to keep moving forward. Thanks very much. And I'll be happy to take any questions at the end.
Nicola, thank you so much for that insightful presentation. It's wonderful to see the journey of Dublin City Council, and it's astounding to see your progress. And thank you for making it through the virtual challenges, technical challenges that we're all in this world. So again, moving swiftly on, I'm delighted to introduce our next speaker, Christoph Vase. I've had the pleasure of getting to know Christoph and working with him over the last year. Christoph is the Senior Procurement Advisor at Belgium's Ministry of Economy and Innovation, with a key role in PIP, which is the Programme for Innovation Procurement, that encompasses end-to-end management of innovative procurement across sectors. And incredibly, they have 90 procurements in preparation, which is just unbelievable and an amazing achievement. Christoph holds a master's degree in law and a master's in European law, and also augmented this with his master's degree in supply management and public procurement. And he has 20 years of relevant experience in leading edge procurement methods and the state-of-the-art approach to management of complex procurement arrangements acquired in well-established national and international organisations. I'm handing over to you, Christoph, and thank you so much. Christoph, if you just unmute yourself.
Okay, do you hear me now?
Excellent. We can hear you loud
Perfect.
and clear. Thank you. Perfect.
Thank you for your introduction, Maria. Today on the agenda for me, there are two main topics I would like to handle. First of all, to give you a short introduction of what we are doing within the program of Innovation Procurement. And then to give you a little bit more insight on the methodology that we use in order to tackle procurement, innovative procurements. So first of all, the program for innovation procurement, called PIP, has been launched in 2016. We are more or less 7 people working full-time on this program, and this program in Innovation Procurement is building on previous experience that was going on in Belgium, in Flanders, the PCP program, who was running from 2010 to 2016. So one of the main missions we want to do that we have within the program is to map, first of all, the innovation needs of the public sector. We try to stimulate the use of procurement and its tremendous purchasing power to trigger innovation. Why? Because as we know that innovation still remains the main driver for economic growth. We provide, in fact, end-to-end assistance to public authorities from the needs assessment till the execution of the procurement itself. In addition, we provide co-financement to contracting authorities within the framework of innovation procurement. So this until a maximum of 50% of the purchase of the procurement. The objectives of the program benefits both the public sector and also the private sector. With innovation procurement, we let the market develop new and better products and systems. The intention is here to improve the performance servicing of the public sector. And additional, we try also, of course, to strengthen the competitiveness of companies by letting them develop innovative solutions. At the end, we also want to tackle major socio-economic challenges, and this we are probably will have this opportunity to, in the future, to tackle real major issues in the future. Within the framework of the PIP, we use a quite broad definition of innovation according to the directive and also the state aid rules. So it's the development models of solutions that are not available on the market or only partly available. So here, like it was mentioned also by Ivo before, it includes also process and organizational innovation. Our program is open to all sectors, so we have no predefined sectors. Every sector is has a possibility to get a contract within our framework. The budget that we have available for the contracting authorities is 5 million euros a year. So coming back now to the methodology that we are using, so twice a year we organize a call for proposals towards contracting authorities. So contracting authorities has the possibility to introduce and submit ideas and their needs within our framework based on some criteria, mainly focusing on innovation. We will select the most challenging ideas and needs. Once this selection is made, such an idea or proposal is categorized as a PIP project. So once it is categorized as a PIP project, we will organize a first meeting with the contracting authority, sit down around the table in order to discuss the challenge who is on the table, and also to identify if an appointment of an external consultant is necessary in order to help us with the preparation phase. So mainly when we are dealing with a complex project and the level of maturity is not high enough, then we will hire external consultants in order to help us with this preparation phase. This preparation phase mainly consisting in a needs assessment and market consultation, and then those aspects will be discussed later on. And then we go to the procurement phase, the procurement strategy, and finally to the execution phase. That's the normal process of a tendering procedure. So first of all, this needs assessment, in our experience, needs assessment is crucial for the contracting authority. So there we really want that the contracting authorities are sitting down and think over what they are really looking for. What is the final goal they want to achieve with the procurement? So the idea is a little bit to take distance from what is normally done by contracting authority, take an existing tender document and publish it again without rethinking what they are really needing. So here we are looking at innovative solutions. So we want really to assess what are their needs, and we try to do this generally by setting up use cases, scenarios, requirements in order to have a clear view on that. Another aspect who is important here is that we want to prioritize the needs, because, you know, within a framework of a procurement, there are quite a lot of needs, but it's essential that together with the contracting authority, we try to prioritize what is really needed in the scope of the procurement. In parallel, we also make a state of the art in order to evaluate which gap has to be filled between what is available on the market and how far we want to jump on an innovation level. So the state of the art is an important exercise. Within this framework, we also try to identify the main market players. Very important. Beside the main market players, we also want to attract new and innovative SMEs. I come back to that later. So I show it on the picture on the right corner. We want to, in fact, already have at that stage a kind of user expectation system architecture, so that will help us already to organize a market consultation. For us, this market consultation is really a crucial aspect within our methodology. Why? Because that's the moment where you can attract interesting SMEs, innovative SMEs, and therefore for us it's a crucial step. In the following slides, I will discuss the following topics. What is now the legal basis of such a market consultation? How do we inform the market? Which goals we want to achieve with the market consultation? And finally, which are the results of the organization of such a market consultation? First of all, the legal basis. So it's already quite a long time, since 2014, but as you know, the directive on procurement 2014 was only implemented in a lot of member states at a later stage. In Belgium, it was in 2017. So just to mention the fact that before the launching of a procurement procedures, contracting authorities may conduct market consultations. That is crucial, because a lot of contracting authorities come to us and ask us, yes, but are we really in line with the legislation if we organize such a market consultation and that we discuss with companies and eventually external experts, is this allowed? Yes. So in Article 40, you really find the possibility to organize such a market consultation. So it's even detailed there that contracting authorities may, for example, seek or accept advice from independent experts and from market participants. The advice may be used in the planning and the conduct of the procurement procedures, provided that such advice does not have as effect that the competition is distorted. But that, I think, it's known by you. So the fact is that equal treatment have to be observed during this market consultation. An important aspect is, of course, that by organizing such a market consultation, you want to attract the most interesting companies and also the most innovative companies. It was mentioned earlier, the publication of a prior information notice is crucial. But don't expect too much about such a prior information notice. Why? Because out of our experience, only 5% of the companies who show up on the market consultation are informed by a TET. So that means that more efforts should be done by the contracting authorities in order to mobilize and to attract the companies to such market consultation. So what we are trying to use now, it's quite new for us also, but we use a data exploration platform who allows us, based on several keywords, to identify which companies in Europe and in whole the world are active in specific sectors. And of course, that gives us the advantage to also be able to identify startups and really specialized innovative companies in specific areas. So this data exploration platform is known as the Data Scouts. So you can retrieve all the information back on the internet if you are interested in that. For us, what is also another important aspect is also that you have to invite the right profile on such a market consultation. So out of our experience, you don't need so much salespeople coming to those market consultation, but people more with a technical background who really know which issues have to be tackled. So give also clear message and expectations and the timeline towards your company so that they know what you are looking for, and encourage them also to participate by telling them that you really intend to launch a procurement at the end, and there is some meat in the project for them. In order to attract interesting companies, it's also important to create collaborations. So that's what we've done within PIP, is create collaboration with different kind of business organizations in order that they could disseminate the information about the fact that we organize a market consultation, and so that we have as much as possible representations of the good and suitable enterprises on the market consultation. The web and the media are important. So on our website, everything is published in 2 languages, in Dutch and in English. So you will be able to find this back later on. So what are the main goals of a market consultation that we want to achieve? So first of all, for us, a market consultation is not just a place where the contracting authority is informing the market about their intention to launch a tender, but it's more than that. It's the goal, in fact, to create a bridge between the demand and the supply side. So it's a place where you try to get some information from the companies about several things. One of the most important things that you want to achieve is to check if the innovative solution you have in mind is feasible. Do the supply side, is the supply side capable to commit and to show up and develop the innovative solution that you have in mind? So it gives you also the possibility to get insight on which solutions are already available on the market. So that's crucial for contracting authority to get those insights. On the other level, what we try to do also by using several methods and techniques, one of them is the planning poker, is to try to have a clear view on the technological risk that will be involved with the development of the innovative solutions. We also try to check the maturity of the market. Are there enough suppliers for to launch a competitive procurement for the innovation solution we have in mind, or is the market rather smaller? So that's important to define afterwards which procurement procedure we will launch. Crucial during this market consultation is that you build trust between the contracting authority and the companies who are attending such market consultation. So you have to persuade the market as contracting authority that there is a real commitment to launch a tender, and that there is a market potential for the future for the companies who attend those market consultations. Another aspect is that due to the fact that we normally face-to-face organize those market consultations, is that companies can meet each other and create consortia in order to submit offers in the framework of a tender that will be launched. From our experience, the solution is never in hand of one company. Generally, you see that several smaller companies has to work together in order to be able to reach the innovative solution you are looking for. Also, one of the goals of the market consultation is already at an early stage to inform the companies about the possible legal issues and particularities that are involved in the specific project. So everything that has been done during this preparation phase, so being needs assessment and market consultation, will be finalized and summarized in a final report that will be put available on the website. So the results of this preparation phase, being needs assessment and market consultation, is in fact that we get a prioritization grid, where you have two axes, one representing the added value for the end user, the contracting authority, and the other axis representing the risks on technological level. So there, by working with use cases, you could straight away see on which level you are. Is the things that we are looking for as contracting authority far away from the market? Are there a lot of risks involved? Yes or no? So what we are looking for is use cases who are of very high value for the contracting authorities with a small technological risk, because that's the low-hanging fruit and that's achievable within an acceptable time frame. So once we have finalized this preparation phase, then it's the idea that the contracting authority takes some time, withdraw a little bit from the whole preparation phase, and could think twice about which procurement strategy will be used. It was mentioned before, it's crucial to find an adequate procurement procedure that is in line with the expectation we have as on the innovation level. So therefore, we have a multiple possibilities of procedures who are in front of us. So there, out of our experience, it was said we have quite a lot of projects running. We have used almost all of them. So I mean, so there is of course a favor for some negotiation procedures with publication, of course. Why? Because the flexibility of those procedures allow more easily to develop innovation. So within this period, there will be also a risk assessment, a risk analysis who will be done. The tender documents will be prepared. We will take very care to have adequate selection award criteria. It's crucial, of course, in terms of selection criteria, not to put them too high, that you also give the possibility to SMEs and innovative companies to participate to your tenders, of course. And then we have an open and transparent publication in the official journal. After this, we have the execution of the contract and the development of the solution by the companies. So it was said we have now in total 95 projects, 14 procurements were finalized, and 81 projects are in preparation. So that means either in the needs assessment phase, the market consultation phase, or in preparation of the procurement documents. So all this information, and I really insist of having you a view on our website. All this information could be retrieved on our website. You will find a lot of examples. It's in the short time frame I have, it's not possible to come back to some examples, but I would like to thank you for your attention, and I'm looking forward to answer your questions.
Christophe, that was amazing to learn from your experience and some key takeaways for the audience there. I would ask the three speakers from the public sector section just to wait to the end of the webinar so that we can do a joint Q&A just to save time. And moving on, I'm thrilled to introduce Martin Bunchak, who's the director of the Czech Technology Agency. Martin's background is in molecular biology. Additionally, he's held positions as the R&D director and the quality manager at Genere Biotech. And Martin was a key part of the team designing and executing the program for supporting R&D or research and innovation projects for the ministries and other governmental organisations. He's also active in the intergovernmental groups dealing with digitising public procurement and innovation procurement. And Martin, pleasure to have you here this morning, and the floor is yours.
Thank you, Maria. Good morning to everyone. Please, can you upload my presentation? Yes. Next slide. The technology agency was established about 11 years ago, and we are a public body. Next slide, please. We are a public body, public governmental agency supporting research and innovation. We are running several programs for supporting mostly research and applied research. Till now, we run 15 programs. One of those programs, next slide, please, is the program called Beta. And that's the program for supporting applied research and innovations for to respond the needs of now more than 21 institutions of the state administration, mostly ministries and other central governmental bodies. It will be implemented till the end of the 2024 year. And the way how we support the research and innovation is by the public procurement procedures. The planned budget in this program is more than 62 million euros, but we are about at 1/3 of this amount till now. So we think that till the end of the programs, we will not be at this amount of money. Next slide, please. In the last 4 years, but mostly in the most of these types of public tenders were done in the last 2 years. You can see that we are heavily using the competitive dialogue and also the innovation partnerships. All 4 innovation partnerships are still in progress. And we are also using in the small-scale public contract the negotiation. So we are in almost all cases we are using the negotiation type of public tenders. And also the framework agreement is very interesting for us in some cases, as it was shown in the last presentations. Next slide, please. How to attract the SMEs? It was the question for this webinar. I think that mostly the very important thing, as you have seen in the last presentation, is the prior market consultation. It is very crucial how to attract SMEs, as mostly the SMEs and startups especially, they don't have a time and they don't have a trust mostly. I don't know if it's the case only in Czech Republic, but I think I know it's also in other countries around Europe, that the trust to the public bodies, especially for the SMEs and for the startups, is not so high. So you have, as a public buyer, to gain the trust of the SMEs. Mostly as we are procuring the research projects, the research organizations like universities and or Academy of Sciences is mostly speaking with us during the contracts. But you can see that from the entities in our contracts, about 35% are SMEs. We have also a very small number of large companies, but mostly the companies are SMEs. And we hope that it's based on the trust we gained through the open communication from the beginning of the preparation of the contract. Next slide, please. And then next, I will show you one example of innovation partnership, and it's a project for Energy Regulatory Office in the Czech Republic. The project goal is to create a user-friendly information system for the energy regulation, including the data repository, process module, knowledge module, communication, and so on. Next slide, please. Now you can see that the preparatory phase, including the prior market consultation, was a huge amount of the time taken in this project preparation. It took 10 months, and it was a very deep communication, starting with the Energy Regulatory Office, and then also with the experts in the field, and during the market consultation, also with possible companies and research organizations with whom we discussed the topic. Next slide, please. Then the first phase of the innovation partnerships took 8 months, and we selected 3 participants with 3 negotiations, and we selected or submitted was 3 proposals in this phase. Unfortunately, one of the proposal, one of the company withdrew from the competition. So we selected, the remaining 2 proposals were selected, and the assignment was to create the proposal of information system architecture and design. And the implementation time was 3 months. Next slide, please. The next phase, the second phase and the final phase till now, was for 4 months last year, and there was 4 negotiations, 4 calls for negotiations, and we selected the supplier. We selected from those 2 examples. The one was selected as a supplier, and now it's running the project implementation. So the assignment is the delivery of pilot-tested functional information system ready for implementation in the Energy Regulatory Office. The next slide, please. And I think it's the last slide. I will be very short now, as we are running out of time. I think that the most important thing is really to consult with the field the topic of the public procurement procedure and public procurement project. We are running it as projects, and we are using heavily as well the experts in the field. I don't mean, and I'm sorry for the lawyers here, I don't mean only the lawyers. The best way is to select some expert in the field. If it's a lawyer, it's a jackpot for you. So we use regularly the market consultation. Then the second very important thing is to use the negotiation type of public procedures. We are using competitive dialogue that's very suitable for our cases, and the innovation partnerships seems to be very interesting for procuring the innovative solution. solutions, including some part of research and development prior the delivery of the final product. So that's our insight into this, and I thank you for your time. Thank you.
Martin, thank you so much for your presentation and for your honesty and for your economy of time, which we're most grateful for. Would you stay with us for the end of the session as well? For some questions and answers, and thank you to all our speakers in that section. We're moving swiftly on to the innovative SMEs, and our first presenter is Carlos Chiate from Tech for Care in Italy. The wonderful thing about the virtual world is that we can move around Europe, which is fantastic. Carlos is a passionate researcher with a genuine multidisciplinary background. He has a master's in economics, a PhD in epidemiology, which we've all become very familiar with over this past 12 months with COVID, and a specialization in geriatric medicine. His main research interest is the study of how technology can innovate the provision of health and social care. And with a desire to impact on this area, he co-founded Tech for Care in 2015. And the floor is yours, Carlos, and thank you.
Thanks, Maria, and thanks for the organizer of this very interesting event. I'm really enjoying the participation today. I will try to stick on time and try to bring to the discussion the perspective of an SME like the one I'm happy to work in. Maria, do you see my presentation? Is the sharing working?
Yes, I see it loud and clear. It's in red and white. Yes. So we're delighted. And I'm enjoying this morning as well. So over to you.
Thanks. So just a few words on Tech for Care. We are a startup company that was established in 2015, but we started being active in 2017. We are about 20 people working in the company now, and the founders, we are a group of researchers that in the past have been working in research institutions and in public organizations. And our idea when we decided to start a company was that of increasing our impact, the impact of our research findings into real practice. We were a bit disillusioned, a bit unhappy with the idea of working in research projects which were ending and then restarting, and sometimes we felt we were too far from reality. And as researchers, we also took part to several traditional procurement process. So I personally also been buying as a public servant, and we were generally dissatisfied. I think this slide, and I apologize for not having translated it all, reflect what was our idea at the beginning. So we were keen, and is a slide which represents the link between our previous life and this life. So the idea that our work should innovate and improve the process of care in the NHS or other caring institution. And since our initial business model when we started was completely wrong, our idea was to become a company developing telemonitoring solution for home care of people, of frail older people. But we've been initially unsuccessful in that. We kept working as consultant to organizations which wanted to innovate, especially small organization. But an event which really changed our story as an SME was the possibility to participate in a European public procurement project. Actually, after this first experience, we had the opportunity, and we were very honored to take part also to other projects. But today, I would really like to focus on this to try to share our experience. In this project was a project managed by, was called Magic Project, was a project addressing the issue of stroke, and especially was a project requesting, challenging the market to provide innovative solution to improve the rehabilitation experience of people after a stroke at their homes. The underlying idea is that basically the rehabilitation need in the future will be ever increasing, and there will be not the possibility to provide response to all people in need unless we change the paradigm of care. And of course, the previous speakers have gave a full account of what is a PCP instrument. Our experience with that started with curiosity-driven research. As I said, we had some internal technology, we had some ideas, but the PCP, which was led by the Business Service Organization in Northern Ireland, was the opportunity for us to take a lunch table discussion, because that was exactly what happened one day, a lunch table discussion over the lunch break in a public hospital with a few colleagues, or former colleagues of mine and friends working as neurologists and physiotherapists at the hospital. And the basic concept and idea was that of improving the experience of home rehabilitation by leveraging two innovative technologies and one rehabilitation paradigm. Because the main idea was, as now people are using mirror box therapy to improve, work on neuronal brain plasticity, and try to help people to recover motion and capacity into the impaired arm, like you see in the slide. So people are putting the hand in the box. How about using new technologies like virtual reality and machine learning, artificial intelligence, and IoT paradigm to create a new solution that allows people to do that type of exercise comfortably from home without the need of traveling? And that was this is a note I'm sharing from that day, from that kind of brainstorming discussion. And the PCP represented a safe context, a very safe environment, a great opportunities, and new friends from Ulster University and Sweden, the other SME that participated with us in the company, in the challenge, my things. Together with Ulster University and my things, we had the possibility to engage with early end users directly and absorb the know-how, which is impressive know-how that we can find inside the public sector, especially in this case, I'm talking about expertise in the clinical settings. And we managed to work on iterative technology development, trying to balance all the key features that were requested from us by the tender, trying to understand the correct balance between key elements like affordability, portability, aesthetics, technology use. And we managed to create several versions of the solution. It's not my plan to show you a video, and so also in order to save time, I just use this slide to show you what happened at the end of the PCP. So the images are important. So a short video showing that our idea was to analyze and substitute what is actually been done in the hospitals and the rehabilitation centers with a new solution that, incorporating this key enabling technology, can reduce the need of travel, improve communication with clinicians, and also provide a fun experience in rehabilitation. All opportunities that are offered by the technologies, but of course need to become reality thanks to the engagement of user experts and of course the work of innovative companies. And this is the first part of the presentation. What happened? Of course, the project was for us, and I hope I can speak also for the buyers, very, very, very challenging, but also I hope successful. At least for us, it was And we managed really to move from a TRL, a technology readiness level of 0, not even 1, to 8 and 9, almost ready to launch at the end of the PCP. And but that was for us, and I hope I can share this experience with public procurers, because somehow we are all affected by this phenomenon. After the project, we completed the pilot. We had a functioning prototype, but according to the literature, but also according to experts in the field, that's the most critical moment of the technology, because at the end of the, we realized that creating the working prototype was actually the easier part of the story, and especially thanks to the PCP project, that was even easier for us somehow. Very challenging, but still easier than comparing from other companies. We had the pilot, we had the prototype, and then we faced the so-called valley of death. So the moment in which from a pilot to the demo commercial, there is a high risk of leaving the technology unused. In this moment, I think it's worth mentioning that we've been supported by other instruments, because that's the moment in which we receive a great support by the European Regional Development Fund. We receive great support from intermediate organization and other projects specifically targeting companies like ours. And I want to share with you the story of how we tried, and I think we managed to escape the valley of death. It was really an epic story. That's why I'm using this different graphic at the moment. It's this journey is energy devouring, because you have to work on, as a SME, you have to work on multiple areas at the same time. I would like to touch upon that. So you need extensive resources. And the fact that in our story, we never had the need so far to use bank loans. We never had the need to ask support from larger companies at not satisfying condition. We don't have still, we haven't received any venture capitalist investment because, but we are of course exploring, but we don't have the pressure to accept all kind of offers. That was possible thanks to the pre-commercial procurement and the other instruments we could use at along the way. The reputation of the PCP was very important for us to access this other opportunity, and we started the journey also from becoming a very destructured, flexible organization to a more solid organization. I just want to touch upon three of the main quests that I think as small companies we all face when we try to do innovation. The first for us was to build the wall of IPR, so the management of the intellectual property. The possibility, the freedom to operate analysis was absolutely important for us to understand whether something of our innovation could be protected, and if we had the right to work and operate with our idea. We had to reach an agreement with other partners. We filed and we received a patent. We successfully filed a patent application for our system, and that was one of the important area of the first quest. The second quest as SME that I think all our colleagues are familiar with this is the swamp of certification, I call it, because one thing is the flexibility of a pilot, and another story is when you offer a commercial service. So there are all the issues related to GDPR compliance, the certification process, and in our case, also the certification of the system as a medical device. All quests that we may be able to complete thanks to the kind of support that we had from living into an ecosystem, including also public organizations. And of course, the main quest is the market. So in our case, the possibility to have the privilege to work in a PCP and have the possibility to collaborate with potentially early adopters was of course, an absolute privilege. But the reality is that when you bring your innovation to the market and you go and you move from one pilot to the real market, it's a trial and errors process that sometimes, there are more errors than that success in that. In this process, the collaboration with the public was important, and I refer especially to organizations, because in our sector, the digital health sector, the possibility to bring evidence of what your solution can concretely achieve is fundamental, and that's something that together with our partners and other research organizations we have been able to complete. I just want to conclude. I hope that I provided aspects and topics that can be generalized from our experience and inspire part of the discussion. Today, Magic Glass it's available on the market. We have also the possibility to rebrand the product. It's called Relab VR. We are working. And we have early customers in Norway. And again, thanks to European action, actually, the systems are now also in 2 hospitals in India. And we don't plan to stop at all. We are continuing this year also to proceed with the commercialization. Just a final note on this presentation. Basically, our story as an SME is a story of simultaneous and parallel activities, some of which started as project, but all of which are ending into the market and as services. I had the opportunity today to present the Magic Glass, but we've been honored to participate in other projects run by other European consortium, and from all these projects we managed to and we are managing to not to waste a single idea, and from projects we are moving to the market, and that's our idea for the future. Thanks for your attention and for this kind of invitation. From my side, it's all.
Carlos, that was wonderful. I personally have a great passion for startups and seeing companies scale, and your story is an amazing one. And I loved your Game of Thrones, your swamp, etc. Just to remind everybody in the audience that they can send us questions for the Q&A session via the Slido channel, as Ivo kindly illuminated earlier. And now we're on to our last speaker in the Innovative SMEs section. And I'm delighted to present Corneliu Malciu, co-founder of Arcan. Corneliu followed a research curriculum at the École Normale Supérieure, where he obtained a doctorate in quantum physics. Alongside these research activities, he became very interested in software engineering and open source initiatives in order to tackle society's problems. And following this line, he co-founded Arcan in 2019 in order to improve healthcare data management and provide efficient and ethical data infrastructures for the healthcare ecosystem. So over to France, beautiful France, and over to you. And I'm delighted we have you here this morning, and thank you so much. The floor is yours, Corneliu.
Thank you very much, Maria, for the introduction, and I'd like to thank the organizers for inviting me. Could you confirm that you can see my screen?
Everything clear and lovely, green and white.
Okay, perfect. So I'm Corneliu Malciu, co-founder of Arcan, as Maria said, and I will first present you what we do at Arcan shortly, and I think it will become obvious for everyone why we need to sell to public buyers, and then I'll discuss our experience with this. So our goal at Arcan is to improve healthcare data management for hospitals and make healthcare data more accessible. It's something we started 2 years ago now, and we've grown now a lot since then, because we're almost 20 people and working with a dozen hospitals. And the issue we tackle is the difficulty to access healthcare data. Nowadays, in a hospital, you have several softwares that work independently and that make the health information system, the electronic health record of the hospital. And these softwares are very good at collecting data, but once you need to reuse this data, it's very hard to do anything. For instance, if you want to take part to a research project, the first thing you'll have to do is open every single patient file and copy the data you need into an Excel file. And you can imagine how efficient that is. It makes a lot of things complicated. And actually, this architecture is also problematic for innovation. It's a huge barrier to developing and installing new tools in a hospital, because if you developed a new app, say for automatic prescription analysis or anything, and you want to deploy it in a hospital, you'll have to interconnect it with the other existing softwares. It will need some data, at least some information about the patients in order to work. And this is usually very costly. It takes a lot of time, and it needs to be done in every and each hospital, and it's always different. So yeah, as a company, you'll need to adapt your product for every customer, which is sometimes difficult. So what we do at Arcan is that we build data infrastructures for hospitals. So we integrate the data produced by the different softwares that are in the hospital, and we integrate them into a data warehouse. We developed our tools for doing so. And the important part is that the information that is stored in this data warehouse is written in a standard language, which is FHIR, which ensures that everyone speaks the same language. It's in a way the English or Esperanto of medical informatics. And it is considered by the ecosystem as the answer to the lack of interoperability in healthcare. And once we've done that, the data collected by the hospital is immediately accessible by the hospital or by its partners through an API. So if you want to extract data for a research project, it's instantaneous. And you can also connect applications to this API. It's in a way as installing an app on your smartphone. It's much more plug and play because we have the same language, which is FHIR, behind. And these apps can be developed by the hospital itself. It's an example of an app that we co-developed with the Paris University hospitals, or by partners, and it make their market access much faster. And once you have this technology deployed in several hospitals, it's very easy to interconnect them, and you can participate to ambitious research projects or multi-actor collaborations. So I tried to keep it short for the presentation of Arcan, but I guess you understand that we need to sell our technology to hospitals, and that's where selling to public buyers comes in. And in order to discuss our experience with this, I'll start by a list of the strategies that we have as an innovative company. And the goal is not to go into the details, because a lot of you are very familiar and with these mechanisms and know them better than I do. The idea is to show how it feels from a startup perspective, and show the constraints that we face. And the first thing that we need to acknowledge is that public procurements are sometimes difficult, and if you never answer to a call for tenders before, the first one might be very scary. And the first thing you could do is try to avoid it by simply not selling to public buyers. And there are alternatives to this. You can find some other funding sources, for instance, research grants or public subsidies, but this will clearly not be sustainable in the long run. Or another strategy is to rely on an established company that will handle the public procurement for you, and you will work as a subcontractor of this company. However, in addition to strongly relying on this partnership, this will also increase the final price for the buyer, because this company will take a share which can be as high as 15%. And for a young and innovative company, you start with a structural disadvantage, because you need either to increase your price, the final price for your buyer, or to reduce your benefit. Another way to go around this is to have a price which is low enough to be below the threshold for call for tenders. In France, for instance, if you can sign contracts under 40,000 euros without going through the public procurement method. And this is handy at the beginning, but it becomes difficult in the long run, because the thresholds are quite low, especially since they include the entire business you will do with the public buyer. It's not for a single mission, so it's not sustainable either. There was a nice initiative in France in 2019, which was to increase this threshold to 100,000 euros for innovative companies. However, we discovered that hospitals didn't feel comfortable with this because there were no precedents, and no one wanted to be the first to make a mistake, in a way. But the idea was interesting, and it could be encouraged more for public buyers. So at some point, as a company, you'll need to go through call for tenders, and there are two ways of doing so. Either you've discussed with the customer and you convince him to write a call for tenders. This will take time to make your selling cycle longer. And also, as a small company, it's difficult, because this requires effort on behalf of the hospital, and you're not only asking for money, you're also asking for time from the hospital teams, which is something they don't have too much of. You could, of course, answer to an existing call for tenders, but if you have an innovative product, it's quite rare that you'll find one that perfectly fits your product. And also, unfortunately, sometimes hospitals have a pretty good idea of who should win the call for tenders that they wrote, and it might be very difficult to compete. And the last stage, which is the most interesting one, but which takes the most time, is to be referenced by a central purchasing body. The idea is of central purchasing body is that you do a single big call for tenders. You're then referenced in the catalog, and hospitals can freely buy your solution from the catalog. So you avoid going through public procurements and through call for tenders with every and each of your customers. But this is very difficult to establish, because you need to make the central purchasing bodies aware of your solution. If it's something innovative, there won't be a magic call for tenders waiting for you. And so you'll need to take part to prior market consultations, and it will require some maturity level before getting there. And for us, it took roughly two years before we were referenced. And now that we've seen all the strategies we could use, I'd like to share a concrete experience with you, show how the difficulties that we faced at some point. So in July 2019, a huge service company contacted us because it was very interested in what we were doing, and it proposed that we could be subcontractors in order to make public procurements easier for us. At that moment, we were discussing with a hospital, and it seemed like the fastest way to go, and everyone agreed on that. So we started the discussions. Unfortunately, 5 months later, it turned out that subcontracted was impossible because this company needed to renew its contract with the central purchasing body, and we had to give up on that strategy. At that moment, the hospital agreed to write a call for tenders for in order to acquire our solution or a similar solution, because it, at least the hospital understood that there was a need, and was ready to put the effort. And in April 2020, the project could start. So in total, it took 9 months in order to fulfill the contract. So it can be difficult to handle for a young company. And my last slide will be about where we are today. We've recently been referenced by RESA, which is a central purchasing body in France. And for us, it's an important step because it raises a lot of technical barriers with the hospitals, and it also gives us the position of a more established company in the ecosystem. And this was possible thanks to an initiative taken by the RESA Innovation Department, which we found very, very interesting. The RESA published a call for tenders as a central purchasing body that was focused on innovation. And as far as we know, they were the first central purchasing body in France to do so. And it required some work on their behalf. They, well, at least I guess, because the market was separated into 15 different parts in order to cover different innovation sectors. It was also maybe a bit risky because you don't know how this market will evolve in the long run, since if you select innovative companies. But for us, it was a huge opportunity, and I think this could be more encouraged, or at least it could help a lot of companies. But we haven't yet tackled the issue completely, because now we can sell our main product easily in France, but not abroad. And we still have a lot of questions about how we can we could reproduce the same thing in Europe, hopefully without spending 2 years per country. And even before that, I find that it's quite difficult to get information on the specific rules of each country regarding public procurements, the thresholds, the central purchasing bodies, and etc. So thank you for your attention, and I'll be happy to answer your questions.
Cornelio, that was wonderful. You cannot beat the real life experience of an SME and seeing their journey through a process like this. So immense thanks, and stay with us for the Q&A. And please, could I ask the other speakers, Nicola, Christophe, Martin and Carlo, to join us? And we will start the Q&A session, if that's possible. So our first question from the audience is to Christophe, and indeed it could be to any of the public buyers. During COVID-19, as a public buyer, what lessons were learned?
To be honest, the COVID lessons in my view probably the thing is that we should ease the procurement procedures as much as possible. And you see, when contracting authorities are under pressure, they are capable to review their systems on how they purchase things by reducing the obstacles for companies. So you saw in several countries that big-scale procurements were launched for the acquisition of masks, for the acquisition of protectable wear. So that means that the procedures used at that time were much easier to and accessible for companies. And I think that's, for me, something that we should think about. If we are put under pressure and it's possible to review procedures, maybe some lessons learned should be taken from that.
And maybe Nicola might want to just come in on that with an experience from the Dublin City Council side. Nicola. Hi, Nicola. Maybe we'll just move along. I have a question for Carlo on the SME side. If the development of the product is not the most difficult part, what is the most difficult part? And what is your suggestion to the public buyer to overcome this?
The most difficult part in our experience is understanding the business model correctly. So identifying what Cornelio has called the fair price, no, which is the minimum price you need to live out of the production and delivery of the service. And the public buyer, of course, they cannot be expert in all the sectors. So I think the most important part is the way they are able to listen and understand the market, and the way they are able to engage in the early stage in analyzing the need, in the way they are able to express this need and give a value to the needs, because that's the most critical part.
Thank you, Carlo. One for Martin. How can we overcome stakeholder resistance to change? And this is something that I see as always an obstacle and a challenge.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yep. Besides the obvious things like the prior market consultation and discussion with the field, with the companies in the field, I think we are using also the IT system. IT system covering even the preparation of the projects, not only the part of the public procurement, official, but also the previous preparation phase of the project preparation. That's something very important. And also by giving good examples. We are trying to have a presentation in the ministries, in the public also, about the examples and so on. So that's the thing how we do it.
And over to Cornelio, how can we encourage SMEs to produce innovation in these times when they are literally struggling to survive? What would your view on that be, Cornelio?
I think there is in public procurement there's a threshold between fighting corruption and encouraging a competition, and making the process simple and fast for everyone, and especially for young and innovative companies. And it was the valley of death mentioned by Carlo was very interesting. And what I think is that you don't want to face the difficulty of public procurements exactly when you are in this valley of death, and maybe increasing the threshold for call for tenders, or encouraging initiatives such as faster procedures for innovative companies, by removing also the risk on the public buyer, because in our experience, the hospitals were not willing to take that risk. This could really help.
Nicola, just we talk about agile SMEs, and we talk about technology forward SMEs, but on the buyer side in a public sector organization, where can we bring in the agile part, and how can that ease into the process from your vast experience dealing with these procedures?
I suppose we have a very engaged chief executive, and who's very supportive of innovation. He's allowed us to develop a chief executive's innovation fund, and to do webinars with different departments to highlight the innovation that's happening throughout the organization. So through the knowledge sharing and through the funding and a co-funding model, we can allow other departments to become more innovative, and to trial and test solutions within the organization, and obviously leverage those stories to encourage other departments to be more innovative too.
So you're talking about top-down buy-in, and then advocates at all levels in order to embrace such a procedure.
Yeah, the advocates are extremely important as well. You need somebody that will, drive the project along and is quite familiar with the challenge as well.
Thank you, Nicola. Carlo and Corneliu, what are the biggest challenges that SMEs have face dealing with public organisations? And do you have any really one or two key tips that can help in seeing you through the difficult times?
Cornelio, I start. Just the first idea is there is the complexity of the procedure has been mentioned already. Okay, so that is the first part. But after even the award of the tender, there are important aspects like the schedule of payments, for instance, the characteristic of the milestones that need to be unlocked before you can invoice, for instance. The request I see as a barrier sometimes the guarantees that are requested from us in terms of insurances also, or the threshold for participation sometimes are too high. These are, I think, critical aspects that could be somehow improved for SMEs.
And Corneliu?
I completely agree with Carlo, and so answer on the tip side for SMEs. I think the big issue is time. It will take so if you think of a schedule, you can double it, and it will then take even longer in some cases. So the thing is to be ready to spend a lot of time and get familiar to it, and not rely on quick sales with public buyers when it's possible.
Okay, thank you. And just to Christophe, to finish off the public sector bit, what is the one key priority or tip that the audience could take away today in terms of coming into this process or engaging in this process?
But it was mentioned already before. Is the information level today? You see that SMEs are not well informed about what the contracting authorities are looking for, which innovation needs there are. So I think there should be thoughts about how to increase the level of information, and also beside this, also to encourage companies, small SMEs, to contact contracting authorities. I have the feeling that a lot of SMEs don't dare always to take contact with purchasers in order to to speak with them, to present them their new products. So this is something that is possible and is accepted. So, I mean, we should encourage SMEs to show up more to provide more information and insights on the new developments and products that are available on the market.
Sorry, just one final one, maybe Martin or Christophe or Nicola. Our experience is that the competitive dialogue procedure has been very helpful. What have been the main practical challenges the panel have faced in using this procedure? And this will be our last question.
But in our experience, the competitive dialogue has, of course, a lot of advantages. The thing is that you have always to take care about the equal treatment within this procedure. So that means that once you have decided to start a dialogue with some companies, to keep and maintain this the equal treatment between them is not an evident case. So that means that therefore, I believe Innovation Partnership could offer some more advantages in comparison to competitive dialogue on that specific point.
Fantastic. Any questions
I suppose, Maria,
Sorry,
just
go on, Nicola.
on the competitive dialogue, I mean, again, it is quite prescriptive. If you're looking for an innovative solution or a solution that doesn't exist, like the pre-commercial and the SPIR process is much more of an advantage over competitive dialogue in that situation.
And for us, I'm sorry, and for us, the competitive dialogue has the advantage that we are doing it for the other ministries, and it's always very important to put together in one table the people with the ideas, with the people with the needs, just to discuss it, even in the formal manner, like in competitive dialogue.
Wonderful. Any questions we didn't manage to cover off? There's only one or two. We will answer via the official link. I think everyone will join me in thanking our wonderful speakers. It's an action-packed morning, and the knowledge that's coming out from each of the speakers is phenomenal. So I thank you for your professionalism, knowledge, and experience, and we celebrate all of you. Thank you. From my side, to Samira, Ivo, and Carmen, sincere thanks for your patience, kindness, and support over the past year. To my colleagues in the Innovation Club, Christophe, Pavel, Mauro, Baptiste, and Anjay, huge thanks for your cooperation and collaboration. It's been a joy. And to close out the session, I'd like to hand the baton back to Ivo. Ivo, over to you, and thank you.
Thanks a lot, Maria. Thanks again to all the speakers, and especially to our suppliers. We have learned a lot. We know about the Valley of Death, but now we also learned about swamps and IPR walls. So it's very, very interesting. And we got a very interesting replies. I think it has been a very lively and interesting webinar. We apologize for the technical issues that we have had during today's webinar. So as I said before, we will publish the slides and the recording on our website, and also the relevant link to the recording will be sent to all participants, and this should allow you to have to benefit fully from today's session. Just to conclude the very key points which I noted out of today's webinar. Well, the first one is maybe that a different attitude vis-à-vis the market is necessary. This has been very well explained and highlighted by our speakers. Of course, while respecting the principles which are set out in the directives. The second one is about maybe the need for flexibility and to overcoming the rigidity. So what is necessary also from the side of buyer is an agile approach. This point, I think, has been made clear also by our startups taking part in today's webinar. And I think this is a very important one. So preliminary market consultation indeed can be a very useful tool in this respect to understand the state of the market and to understand what are the new emerging technologies approach. To conclude, maybe I will ask you just to introduce in Slido what is your takeaway from today's webinar, and to put it in just one word. We will show it in the word cloud, and this is so you can do it via Slido, and it's up to you to go ahead with it. My final thing is that, of course, we have been a little bit late compared to the initial program, but we think that it was extremely interesting to take a little bit further of your time in order to have the full presentations that we had planned and to have interaction with our audience. I see that people are continuing to put in their takeaways for today's webinar, and we will closely phase out our today's event with this last cloud as we get to a sufficient number of replies. So far, inspiring seems to be the key word, and this is very encouraging for us. We see a lot of very positive feedback, so that's all very good for us. Many thanks, many thanks. And with this, we can close our webinar. Thank you very much for your participation.